Okay, so have you ever thought about like what goes into getting those blueberries you love onto your plate?
Well, it turns out there's a new bad bug in town, and it's got a taste for blueberries.
And when we say bug, we're talking about like a big bug, right?
Yeah.
Like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah, it's actually kind of freaky. We're talking about the Prionus Longhorn Beetle. These guys can get up to 2 inches long. Imagine that crawling around your blueberry bushes.
Uh, no, thank you. So these Prionus Longhorn Beetles, they're like the giant hornets of the blueberry world.
In a way, yeah. They're big, they're destructive, and they're causing a lot of concern, especially in places like North Carolina, where a lot of blueberry farming is concentrated. And it gets worse. There isn't just one kind of these beetles to worry about. There are actually 3 different species that are causing trouble.
Three. So it's like a triple threat to our blueberry.
Exactly. We've got Prionus laticollis, Prionus imbricornis, and Prionus californicus. And they're not just munching on leaves. These guys are going straight for the
Oh
roots.
no, the roots. That's like the foundation of the whole plant.
Right. And what's worse is they can be down there doing damage for years before anyone even realizes it.
Years? What do you mean, years?
Well, these beetles have a really long larval stage. We're talking 3 to 5 years where they live underground, feeding on the roots of the blueberry plants.
So like hiding in plain sight but underground? That's pretty sneaky.
Sneaky and destructive.
Hmm.
By the time you see the damage above ground, it's often too late.
Wow. This is really making me look at my morning smoothie differently.
I hear you. And what's even more concerning is that it's really hard to spot an infestation until it's pretty much too late. You might not see anything wrong with your plants above ground, but below the surface, the roots are being slowly destroyed.
So how are blueberry farmers even supposed to fight back against these underground enemies? It sounds like a losing battle.
That's the million-dollar question, and we will dive deeper into that after a quick break.
So before the break, we were talking about, how do we even begin to fight these blueberry root munching beetles? Like, where do we even start?
Right. It's not like you can just spray a little pesticide and call it a day. These guys are tough.
So what are we doing? Are there any weapons in our blueberry saving arsenal?
Well, researchers are trying a bunch of different things. One of the main strategies they're using is setting up pheromone traps.
Pheromone traps. Hold on, is that like beetle perfume or something?
It's basically like that, yeah. They release chemicals that mimic female beetles.
Ah, okay. To attract the males.
Exactly. Lures them right in.
Clever. So we trap all the males, no more baby beetles, problem solved, right?
Well, it would be great if it were that easy, but it's not quite a silver bullet. Remember those long life cycles we talked about? Even if you catch a bunch of males, there could still be tons of females already out there laying eggs or larvae munching away underground.
Ugh, so we're back to square one.
Not exactly. The traps do help. They give researchers an idea of how big the problem is, where the beetles are, stuff like that.
Okay, so it's a starting point. What else can we do?
Well, right now, there actually aren't any insecticides that are specifically registered for use against these beetles in blueberries. I mean, there are some pesticides that work on other pests, but they might not be as effective on these guys. And you have to be careful about unintended consequences, like harming beneficial insects or the environment.
Right, yeah, of course. So what are we supposed to do?
That's where this idea of integrated pest management comes in. So basically, instead of just relying on one thing like pesticides, you use a combination of different strategies all at the same time.
Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more about this integrated pest management thing.
So, I mean, you've got your pheromone traps to monitor the beetle population, right?
Right.
And you can also do things like inspecting the fields really closely to look for any signs of damage. And then researchers are also looking into using beneficial nematodes, which are these microscopic worms, and they can actually attack the beetle larvae in the soil.
Wow, so it's like we're bringing in reinforcement.
Yeah, exactly.
But this all sounds pretty high tech, like something that scientists and farmers would handle. Is there anything that the average person can do to help? Like me, for instance. I love my blueberry pancakes.
Definitely. Honestly, one of the most important things you can do is just be aware. Keep an eye out for these beetles, especially if you live near blueberry farms.
Okay, so what should we be looking for? I mean, what do these things look like? What should I do if I think I've seen one?
Well, remember, they're pretty big, up to 2 inches long, and they've got those distinctive long antennae. If you see something that might be a Prionus longhorn beetle, don't try to catch it or anything.
Good to know. I shouldn't challenge it to a duel, okay?
Right. Just take a picture if you can, try to remember where you saw it, and then report it to your local extension office or agricultural university.
Okay, so report any sightings. Got it. Because even if I spot one little beetle, it could be a sign of a much bigger problem.
Exactly. Early detection is key. It's much easier to manage a pest problem when it's still small and contained. So, by reporting what you see, you're doing your part to protect those blueberries we all love.
This is fascinating stuff. Okay, so we've got pheromone traps, integrated pest management, and the power of citizen science. What else is being done to, stop these beetles in their tracks?
Well, there's some really promising research being done on something called dot fungus.
Fungus. Wait, hold on. Are we talking about fungus fighting beetles now?
You heard right. It might sound strange, but some fungi are actually natural enemies of these beetles.
Okay, now I'm really interested. Tell me more about this fungus beetle showdown.
So basically, these fungi release spores that infect and kill the beetle larvae in the soil, which is exactly where we need to target them.
That's amazing. So are there any downsides?
Well, the great thing about these fungi is they're environmentally friendly. They don't harm beneficial insects or the blueberry plants themselves, just the beetle larvae.
Wow. It's like we're enlisting Mother Nature to fight our battles for us.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of integrated pest management. It's about finding these sustainable solutions that work with nature, not against it.
I love it. It gives me hope for the future of our blueberry pancakes.
Me too.
But seriously, this whole deep dive has been eye-opening. I had no idea about all the drama going on beneath the surface of my blueberry muffin.
It's amazing, isn't it, how even these tiny creatures, can have such a big impact on something as delicious as blueberries.
Absolutely. So before we wrap things up, is there anything else you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the most important thing is just to be aware. The more we know about these pests, the challenges that farmers are facing, the better equipped we are to support sustainable agriculture and enjoy those delicious blueberries for years to come.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe some of our listeners will even be inspired to get involved in citizen science, report a beetle sighting, maybe even discover a new type of beetle battling fungus.
There you go. Now you're thinking like a scientist.
All right, that's it for today's deep dive into the fascinating world of blueberries and the beetles that love them. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.